In 1913, when the federal income tax was signed into law, the way it worked is you would pay a 1% tax on all income over $3,000. And then you would pay a 6% tax on all incomes over $500,000. So you can see that income taxes were a lot less complicated and a lot lower than what they are today. And I should also mention that this is based off of 1913 dollars. So if we translate this to what these numbers look like in 2024 dollars, this would mean that you would pay 1% in income taxes on all money that you made over $95,000. If you made under $95,000, you would pay $0 in federal income taxes. And then if you're a big baller, then you would pay 6% in federal income taxes on all money that you earned over about $15.9 million adjusted for inflation for 2024 dollars. So yes, income taxes have changed quite a bit, partially because government spending has increased quite a bit. And so to fund all the government spending, the government has increased your tax rates to make more money, to spend more money. Now at this point, you might be starting to see why some people are struggling with money today because of how our money system has changed over the last 110 years or so, but we're really just scratching the surface. Because the Federal Reserve Bank was originally created as a way to prevent banking panics. This is what it even says on its website, that the Fed was created in 1913 to print money to prevent bank panics. Which might have you wondering, why were those bank panics happening in the first place? And was the Federal Reserve Bank enacted to fix the problem, or just to put a little band-aid on it, which would eventually make the problem worse? See, what our economic system had long before 1913 is a banking system called fractional reserve banking. And what this means is if you go to the bank right here, and you take this $100 bill, and you deposit it into the bank, you think that this $100 is an asset for you. Because if you go and open up your mobile banking today, you know that the $100 is there and you can pull that out at any time. But although that $100 is an asset for you, it's actually a liability for the bank, because that $100 is money that the bank has to pay back to you. And the bank doesn't follow their own advice, because the bank's advice is that you need to save money, but the bank does not operate by saving money. In fact, what the bank does is they work by investing their money. See, they don't really tell you this, but the way that the bank operates is that they have to take this money that you give them and then give it away. And by giving it away, I mean investing it. Now, the way that the bank invests money is by lending this money. So if you give this $100 to the bank, what they want to do is get rid of it as fast as possible. And they want to get rid of as much as possible. So what fractional reserve banking means is that if you take $100 and you deposit it in the bank might keep 10 of the $100 and then lend out $90 to somebody else. So we'll draw this person right here with a mustache. In my native language, Punjabi, we call a mustache a much. So then this mustached man right here goes to bank number 2, because now they have this $90, they go and do whatever, and then they're going to go to bank number 2 and they are going to deposit this $90. Now this bank number 2 got another liability, right? For this person, the $90 is an asset, but for the bank, the $90 is a liability because this bank doesn't want to hold on to this $90. So then what happens next? Well, then this bank 2 is going to hold on to about 10% of this. They're going to hold on to around $9, and then they're going to lend this money out to another person because they want to get rid of this money as fast as possible. So then they're going to lend this money to this lady with a braid. In my native language, Punjabi, we call a braid a gut. And now she gets the other $81. And this goes on and on and on. This is called fractional reserve lending. But then this is where panic could potentially set in. Panic could set in if the people that are depositing money into this bank get worried. Maybe they get worried about the economy. Maybe they're worried about the health of this bank. For whatever reason, they get worried. And then they go to this bank and now they start asking for this money back. Well, you can start to see why this is a problem. Because if everybody starts going to the bank and starts asking for their money back, the bank doesn't have the money to pay you. And this is called a run on the banks, and you can start to see how this banking problem could then cascade and domino effect into the other banks, because if people start pulling the money out of here, this bank might collapse. These people might get worried, start pulling the money out of here, and these people might start pulling the money out of the following banks, and on and on and on, which then creates a banking collapse. And this is where the Federal Reserve Bank says that they want to come in to help prevent this. Now, you might have heard of something called FDIC insurance. What FDIC insurance says is that if you deposit your money in a bank, your money is safe up to $250,000 today at the time we were recording this video. So if you have under $250,000, then you'll get all your money back and you have nothing to worry about. Well, FDIC insurance was created in 1933, about 2 decades after the Federal Reserve Bank was created. So now you start to see a little bit of confusion because the Federal Reserve Bank says that they were created to prevent banking panics. But in reality, banks rely on FDIC to prevent these sorts of banking panics. So what is the Federal Reserve Bank really there to do? And what the Federal Reserve Bank says is they are there as a line of credit to these banks if the banks start to run into these types of problems. So if Bank 1 starts to run out of money, they can go to the Federal Reserve Bank and borrow money from the central lender. That way, they have the money to keep paying out. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.